slowly winning you over. You'll have that Ian Brown tattoo in the middle of your back by the end of the year.
No, I might just
there.
get Squires written on my lower back.
With a Z at the end. Squires.
Yeah, sure. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is and whatever part of the world you're in. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I am Andy, and that gentleman over there is John, and we are here to discuss music. Specifically, we're going to be discussing a song that I've yet to listen to, but will indeed, that John is going to offer up to me. John, what have you in store for the class today, my friend?
Going back to a band we've covered already. That is Stone Roses.
Okay, another trip down Stone Roses Lane. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, you really, that last one, Love Spreads, was one of my favorite songs that we've done on this channel. So I am very much looking forward to seeing if this can reach that benchmark. But what is the name of the track here?
One Love.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking of songs I know that that are One Love, but I don't think this isn't a cover, right?
It would be all right, yes. No, this is their own work.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'll go off. I mean, the last one had love in it, and it turned out to be a gem, so maybe this one will as well. Yeah, let me go off and give this a listen. I'll come back and let you know what I think. Yeah, I loved the way that started off. That flange-soaked guitar, and then into this like wah stuff that's very late 60s, early 70s psychedelic, like classic rock sound. Ooh, good shit. So, back to the beginning. This flange. That part almost had, especially the vocal delivery over the top of it, what maybe that only enhanced the sound, but almost a poppy kind of sound. Like it's got this cheerful kind of delivery to it, which is neither, you know, amazing or horribly detrimental, just a little surprising. I wasn't expecting that. I do really love this. I love that 60s sounding guitar. It is so good. So yeah, let's pull back just a little bit. Dance on your soul. Yeah. Do. Drums. Oh, the bass and the guitar together. All right, I'm taking that back a little bit because at points it sounded like the bass and the guitar were like synced up and doing the same, if not very similar, things together as far as notation, and it sounded so good layered like that. Yes. Drums are great. All this little guitar stuff is so good. Almost industrial sounds. Wow. Oof. That was a good one. I really, really liked that a lot. The latter part of the song, and I mean small latter part of the song there, maybe that last minute and a half or so, the guitar kind of took a little bit of a back seat, especially comparatively speaking to what we had encountered with how the song started and how the guitar was treated throughout most of the song. It started to do more of these like interesting sounds in the background to add texture rather than to add like extreme melody like it was earlier. And I liked that choice. It also let the listener kind of like fall into the groove of those drums, which were phenomenal as well. Um, yeah, the rhythm section to me, just on one listen, kind of felt like I don't really know this to be true, but I could see how they could be like the unsung hero of the song because everybody's going to be like, this is a great guitar song. And it is, but it is not only that. I mean, it does a little bit of an injustice, I think, to the other musicians and instruments to just generalize like that because there's everybody is carrying their weight in this song. Now, don't get me wrong, the effect laden guitar work was pretty amazing, but everybody really made this thing shine. This is probably my second favorite song that John has given me by the Stone Roses. Yeah, I really love that it had like these psychedelic rock moments to it. Um, and there toward the end, there was some really like, I don't know, interesting and industrial type sounds provided by, oddly enough, the guitar kind of adding these little bits and pieces in and that rolling bass. Ah, yeah, this is it's gonna require future listens just because I enjoy listening to the song so much the first time. Not one of those where I need to wrap my head around it or give it another chance or look for these other parts. No, I mean I'll probably do that, but that's not the thing that's calling me back. The sheer enjoyment of this listen is what makes me want to try and recreate it. So let's learn more about this track. I don't know how much left is to learn about the band, but I'm sure there's always stuff. I'm sure John judiciously leaves stuff out in previous reaction videos to save for future ones like this. So let's go learn a bit of that from the man himself.
Okay, so you're back from the hacienda. What do you reckon?
I am. I am. Yeah. Another great song, man. Another great song by the Roses of Stone. Things start off with this like resonant flange soaked guitar chord and some light bass work behind it, and then boom, we are saturated in the sweet sounds of psychedelic lead guitar work. Very reminiscent of the same time period that I was reminded of when I heard Love Spreads, this late 60s, early 70s classic slash psychedelic rock guitar. And God, it was good. It's very good.
He knows his way around that
Yeah,
particular sound, doesn't he?
yeah, I'm starting to come to grips with that. Yeah. A perfectly bent guitar note heralds in the beginning of the vocals. And I really enjoyed the tempo of the drums and all of this killer guitar work behind those vocals. Around the 117 mark, the song takes on almost a cheery, more poppy sound, which is mostly driven by that vocal delivery of the "One Love" portion of the lyrics. It has this like, you know,
Yeah,
seesawy poppy feel to it. That while I didn't dislike it, it caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting that. I suppose from the sort of like grassrootsy, classic rock guitar, I wasn't expecting this chorus or whatever it was. The rhythm section is already sticking out to me as the unsung hero of this track, which is understandable considering it's competing with the outstanding guitar work by Squire. I mean,
yeah,
it's hard for anyone else to shine, and yet they still do. I almost
yeah,
think it's not fair that they would be considered the unsung heroes of this track because it's amazing drum work and some really great bass work that shouldn't be overlooked in this. So, speaking of that guitar work, around the 2 minute 45 second mark, we get more killer effect laden lead guitar work over top of these amazing, like quickly shuffling drums and this bouncy kind of bass work, just owning the scales. At one point, briefly, as we approach the 4 minute marker, the bass and the guitar begin playing the same thing, almost like a synchronized dance routine, and it sounds great. It's so nice to hear that almost lead bass work happening just below a rather for it in this song drawn back a little bit guitar to let the bass breathe with it and run with it. So yeah, it was like watching a pack of wild dogs run. Around the 420 marker, I begin to notice how lovely this ride cymbal work is that's happening with this like beautiful snare driven quick drum beat that's going on there, but the tink 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 of those rides were getting me. Then the guitar takes a step back, though it still provides some sonic texture to the song, and the drums really, really shine here as well. And slowly the sound dynamics downshift a bit, and the song becomes more hushed, comparatively speaking, to what was happening before in the tune. And we hear almost industrial like sounds peppered in the background while the bass and the drums work at a feverish pace, though not as loudly as they had been earlier in the track before fading to silence. And it was a real treat to listen to this. And while it didn't quite stack up to Love Spreads in my mind, it is now a close second of the songs that we've done on this channel, which I now think we're up to like 4, including this one. Um, and yeah, it was just every musician in that song did their part expertly. And while I would understand this being classified as a great guitar song, I would have to argue that that's an injustice not only to the other musicians and instruments in it, but also to the song itself. There's so much more than just this one incredible feature to it. There's a lot of incredible features. Um, it had everything except perhaps lyrical cohesion. And that might be something that you can remedy as we go over the song, because I didn't catch a lot of the lyrics to like make any cohesive, narrative or piece together the meaning behind the song. I just didn't understand the one part I did catch at the beginning when I was allowing myself or trying to allow myself to listen to both parts was I didn't understand the metaphorical value of the lines, "I'm no dog, I'm a dolphin. I just don't live in the sea." Because I've often referred to dolphins as kind of like the dogs of the ocean. And if you don't live in the sea and you're like that, then you are a dog. But I'm sure that there's some sort of meaning behind that. But again,
well, hopefully
it
this will
might be
help you
unfair and
rethink
it might be.
your estimations about dolphins, frankly. But,
Well, I hear that dolphins are very promiscuous sometimes with divers and people in the ocean, and they'll hump it. And I'm like, I've seen dogs hump a million people's legs. They are quite similar, actually. But yeah, it might be completely unfair, but it was just that little like stanza of lyrics stood out to me as like, what the? And then the rest of it, outside of the "One Love" kind of chorus bit, I didn't really catch much of. So again, you could probably resolve that for me, or just say, hey, Andy, quit being stuck on this and move on. The song's great and you know it, and it is. So yeah, I really enjoyed this track. Again, not quite Love Spreads, but it is awfully close, and I would definitely with joy listen to this track again.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I picked this song. As you were doing the research, I was aware of it. It really, really dawned on me that I think these things come in waves, don't they? And I think at the moment it's quite because you have lots of retrospectives and anniversaries of bands. It's quite in vogue at the moment to say actually Stone Roses were overhyped. They're nowhere near as good as everyone says they are. That's we had that. I remember that in the 80s about the Beatles. People saying, "Yeah, they're overhyped. They're not really that good." And then it comes back round again. And hang on a minute, yes, they are. Probably the most greatest band ever. In terms of creativity, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, now this song in particular, there's not, ironically, there's not a lot of love for One Love, and there's various reasons for that. It's in between the two camps. So you have the debut album, which is very sort of that bright British '60s sound,
Mm.
and then you have the second album, big gap in between, and that's more of a rocky. I've said it loads of times, but Led Zeppelin bass sound, and people like one or the other or both, like me. And this is sort of in between, and it has a bit of that more sort of bouncy, baggy feel to it. Um, and it's quite similar in a way to Fool's Gold in certain ways as well. So people just don't pick up on it, but I'll go into it. So, One Love is a non album single released in July 1990, and it peaked at number 4 in the UK singles charts, which at that time was its highest charting single. Now, as Andy said, we've already done a few episodes on the Stone Roses and all about them and the formation. And I think there's a playlist. There isn't. There will be one by the time I finish this sentence. And there it is. And I'll drop this into it. But just to remind you of personnel: Ian Brown vocals, John Squire guitar. I do have this habit of adding an S onto the end of his surname, and I apologise if I'll do it during this, but I will say old Squires, and I don't mean no harm, Governor. Manny on bass and the wonderful Rennie on drums. They're all wonderful. And
Yeah.
this track was produced and mixed by John Leckie, who did the debut album and started work on the second album. And just to remind you, John Leckie also produced Public Image by Public Image, obviously we listened to recently. His engineer on that, sorry. Simple Minds, Premonition, one of the ones we did as a viewer's request way back. The Verve, The Sun and the Sea. He's done a lot of good work. So I research here. I don't know what this means, and I don't know how true this is, but it says here it is believed that John Squire, or Squires as he's also known, played a custom Fender Jaguar guitar with a variety of flanging and wah-wah effect pedals to create the song's distinctive sound. That kind of makes sense, but
Yeah, I got the flange and the wah. I'd be hard pressed to have known that was a
I mean,
Jaguar, but I
who
love
hasn't?
I love Fender Jags, man. They are such beautiful guitars, and they clearly have a great sound to them, as exemplified in this song.
So the artwork. Now, I don't think we've really touched on the artwork of the band before. It's all done by John Squire, or Squires, as he's doing. Um,
The whole lot of them,
now,
all of the
yes.
Squires.
So, just a quick recap. So, the early stuff was that's abstract expressionism, which people equate to Jackson Pollock in particular. So, there is the debut album. I won't take them out of the plastic sleeves. You probably get just loads of glare. Um, here we go. I Want to Be Adored, a much more simple one. Um, Made of Stone, black and white. I really like that. That's
Yeah,
the
that
famous
is
Pollock one.
beautiful artwork.
Elephant Stone, um, and the very, very wonderful Fool's Gold, one of the greatest ever 12 inches. And right in the middle, there is a dolphin, which does also appear in Ian Brown's solo work, the name of that. Now, this Robert Chair, One Love. Um, the cover for One Love is influenced by both the Castrol oil can and the mascot for the Italia 90 World Cup. But Squire, or Squires as he's known, noticed to his horror that there was a suggestion of a swastika in the design. A major embarrassment for the band and their left wing politics. So Squire pulled the cover, ripped it all up, destroyed the artwork, and used torn scraps to produce the alternate cover, which you can see there. Now, I also have, I won't get it out, but I also have the 7 inch. And you'll see right up here, if it focuses in, it says comes with a postcard.
Mm-hmm.
That's the original artwork there. And this is the postcard. Do you remember we used to get postcards with 7 inches? You don't. I do. Super Furry Animals always had really good postcards with their 7 inches. But yeah, so there you can see it's just this rhythmic pattern, and you can see what you want in it. But if you wanted to
Yeah.
see swastika, you could. They're not really there, but anyway. So obviously he ripped it up and then created that. So it's quite interesting, and it shows his creativity. Um, so yeah, I will go into the lyrics now, and then we'll go a bit more about the song. This is some funny stuff. So the lyrics, has been pointed out, and criticisms are fairly weak. Then just but I think as a performance, Ian Brown, it comes across really well. It's one of his stronger songs. Um, Anytime you want me, anytime at all, anytime you need me, all you got to do is call. Anytime you want me, anytime at all, anytime you need me, all you got to do is call. I'm no dog, I'm a dolphin. I just don't live in the sea. You feel my flow when you flood my brain. Show me your vision, your wild apparition, and sink to the depths of your soul. One love, we don't need another love. One love, one heart, and one soul. We can have it all. Easy peasy. Anytime you want me, anytime at all, anytime you need me, all you can do is call. You put me one step clear of the chain gang and 2 miles over the line. All the scenes I've seen left me wanting more. Show me a vision, you wild apparition, and sink to the depths of your soul. One love, we don't need another love. One love, one heart, one soul. Your fruit's in season, and these feet fall surely sound, and what goes up must come down. Turns into dust or turns into stone. Um, a comment afterwards from Ian Brown, and he's particularly, I would call an unreliable narrator. He said the chorus wasn't strong enough. We tried for an anthem. We wanted to cover all bases and ended up covering none. So they were, I think, a bit dissatisfied with this song, and John Leckie felt that it was unfinished as well.
Is
Um,
that why it never landed on an album and sort of came out as its own single?
No, because I'll go into the timeline, but they had legal issues and problems as well. So I just touched on the bizarre attitudes and expectations around the band. I mean, everyone's got an opinion about every one of their songs. The problem is because they only did two main bodies of work and they're 4.5 years apart, they're indelibly linked to time periods, whereas you've got somebody's career like Bowie or whatever, it's decades. But this is linked into that, and they're really strong memories for the people who enjoyed them. And other people may not. That's as much the nostalgia for that time as that music really hits home with people of a certain age who are a certain age when this came out. I think that's what really solidifies it, this sort of genuine affection that so many people have for Stone Roses. And there's great music as well. But this is a review from Rate Your Music, which gives a bit of insight of what people were thinking when the second album came out. So this, remember, came out just after the debut. God, this was eagerly awaited, and it did well in terms of sales. The guitar work is nice enough, and Manny and Reddy weigh in with a pulsating rhythm section, but the power of the band isn't enough to overcome the cliched lyrics and lack of attention to such trivialities as arrangements and some semblance of a tune. It was talking about Fool's Gold. The tracks are pretty much interchangeable. And that was it for the Roses. Instead of the funk-powered Warfest second album we were all expecting, we waited 4 long years for them to re-emerge as Zepp-powered rock bastards. So that's the kind of attitude people had.
Jeez.
But to balance that, this is from a website called the Manc Review, 2012. It's a little bit lengthy, but I think it's really funny, this review, and it's loving. It really is. One Love is a song which touches upon the universal law of love and indirectly gives insight into the compassionate Ian Brown. With his opening lyrics, anytime you want me, anytime at all, anytime you need me, it's cool. Brown conveys an unconditional love likened to New Age ethics. This guy's really got a lot into this. It appears to be a love song, unraveling a tale of being captivated by a siren, encapsulating the lyrics, show me your vision, your wild apparition, and sink to the depths of your soul, with metaphorical references to a dolphin. Here is a song which outlines Brown's perceptive, sensitive demeanor. I'm no dog, I'm a dolphin, I just don't live in the sea. It's an infectious number whose guitar riffs oscillate like phosphorine waves before swirling against the bouncy bass. It's also a song whose whirly riffs of Squire morph into more tinny tones, delving deep into murkier depths. Like tidal waves, Squire's guitar riffs crash and burn against Mandy's contrary bass, synchronizing with Brown's nonchalant vocals. It's during the metamorphosing interlude that the guitars rummage and wrestle against Rennie's dribbling drums. It's also a place where Squire's guitars shriek and spin like a psychedelic submarine, rotating through a fluorescent vortex. Through its scraping riffs, One Love conveys a darkness which sounds like a vessel corroding under pressure. It's a dynamic insert which illustrates the subtle obscurity of the Stone Roses. Though its compressing intonations and palpitating drums, One Love flickers like a strobe light, making you feel like you are traveling through a hallucinogenic underworld. I didn't get any of that, but it's nice that he did.
No, he really, really enjoyed the song.
Yeah. So just to put,
there's plenty of stuff
yeah,
that deserves to be glorified in this song, but he glorified every facet of it. It's like, come on, man. There's no such thing as perfect. Yeah,
so
the lyrics to
that's
me,
the other hand. You know, people slagging it off and everything. These guitars are all right,
and then other people
clearly a lot more.
fanboy the shit out of it to the point where it's a little like, all right, man. What is with the infatuation with dolphins? I mean, you have this illusion here in these lyrics, and then the dolphin made the cover of the one album as well. So it's like,
Yeah.
is that always a thing, or
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it's in Ian Brown's work as well. His song referencing dolphins and his solo work, but so
interesting?
it's a symbol of, I don't know, freedom, whatever.
Yeah.
Another fish. I don't know. Just put the timeline into it. So this came out in July. So in October, after this, the band escaped going to jail for the paint throwing incident at Revolver Records. But then the following year, in early '91, there was this protracted legal case where they were trying to free themselves from the weird and wonderful contract from Silvertone Records, which included the band receiving absolutely no money for the first 30,000 records sold, and a seven album deal, which included rights that extended beyond the known solar system. After the band won, they immediately signed to Geffen for a rumored $2 million. Silverton got their way back by milking the band for everything they could, re-releasing shit after shit with diminishing artistic returns and sort of devaluing the brand name. The band was now relatively wealthy because with Silvertone they were existing on a wage of £60 a week. And because of this, they almost inevitably, with all the sort of tension and legal stuff, they drifted apart. Some of them started families or went back to families. They lost that gang mentality that they had, which is such a huge part of their appeal. And they seemingly, this guy's written here, which is quite interesting, they seemingly retreated into their own separate record collections. For Squire, or Squires as he's known, 1970s rock, dub and soul for Brown, and hip hop for Manny. Rennie just did his own shit because that's Rennie, and he's a fucking legend. Detached from what was happening in music at the time, which from '91 to '93 meant either American grunge or sort of blossoming electronica music as well. So by the time they finally reconvened for rehearsals and recording, also they were apparently all on different drugs as well, which didn't help. And so the album Second Coming was born. A difficult birth, I think you can imagine. But yeah, I think this song is fucking great. I absolutely love it. And it is definitely in between the sort of, there is a development you can see. People can argue how much, but from the first debut album through Fool's Gold and this Fool's Gold and this is definitely separate to the debut album in terms of where it goes. And what I didn't know then, when I absolutely fell in love with Fool's Gold, which is in my top 10 records of all time, is how much they owed to Can for the rhythms and amazing, really. And now people have introduced me to Can, I really appreciate it even more. And then obviously the Second Coming album, the much lambasted Second Coming, I adore as well because I adore Led Zeppelin. So everyone's a winner, as Hot Chocolate would say. I shall wrap things up and say thank you for listening to another Stone Roses track, Candy. I know.
Thank you for offering another Stone Roses track, John.
Slowly winning you over. You'll have that Ian Brown tattoo in the middle of your back by the end of the year.
No, I might
there.
just get Squires written on my lower back.
With a Z at the end. Squires.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks up there. Tell us what you think of this track. Do you have any love for One Love? Well, it's Stone Roses, not by Bob Marley. And yeah, any other thoughts you have about this transitional period, in terms of how this compares to Fool's Gold as well? Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please drop us a line. We really do enjoy reading all your comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And you never know, if we get enough subscribers, maybe they'll reform again. It can't harm, can it? You know, it's not going to stop them. So take a chance and subscribe. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.